Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast. I am your host, Steve Harper. I am so grateful that you are here. I am excited for you to be a part of this episode because you are about to meet a dynamic individual. Miss Claire Hayek will be joining us today.
It's called habituation versus resilience. You're so exposed to this for a long time that you just kind of tune it out. It's like, okay, yeah, that's pressure. It's normal. You just go with it. But that's not resilience. Resilience is the ability to be able to completely turn this whole situation into calm inside and create enough space around you in order to be motivated enough to move regardless of the pressure. So you take it and then you make it to your advantage and move on. So it's nothing's gonna stop me kind of thing, but without just pretending the pressure is not there. I know the pressure is here. I know this is a catastrophe, but I choose to move and choose courage regardless.
Claire is what is Claire not? She is a musician. She is a TEDx speaker. She is an author. She has a book coming out soon called Calm Under Fire, the leadership skill no one taught you. Oh my God, definitely going to need that one for sure. She is a prolific writer, trainer, consultant, and she has this amazing podcast called The Neuro Leadership Edge. And she calls it Pressure Proof Leadership and Calm and Authority. Claire Hayek is such a dynamo individual. I'm super excited that she agreed to be on the podcast. How we met, however, is kind of a fun ripple in itself. I got an opportunity to be invited to a networking event as a participant. I wanted to just be a fly on the wall. You guys know me. These online things wig me out. I don't like them. I'm usually hard no on them, but Miss Gabriella Imbon, who was a former guest on the Ripple Effect podcast, asked me to be a part of this one. She was going to be doing a presentation. You don't turn Gabriella down in any way, shape, or form. And what was fun about this is Gabriella's in Canada. Claire's in Canada. Turns out they were all in Canada. They are the nicest people ever. That might have been the most enjoyable online networking experience aside from the 8-Minute Ripple that I have ever attended. And I really loved everybody, but we got put into a breakout session. Claire and I happened to be in the same group, and I knew instantly, this is someone I need to know. This is someone that has so much smarts, has done so much work in the neurosciences space. And for an engineer, she doesn't come across as an engineer. She has no pretense. She is just nice, genuine, authentic, and smart as hell. And I'm so grateful that she agreed to be a part of the Ripple Effect podcast. So with no further ado, let's dive into this conversation with Miss Claire Hayek. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast, and welcome my guest today, who has become a really good friend, Claire Hayek. Claire, how are you doing? Welcome.
Very good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited. We've tried to get this thing to happen a couple of times, and I don't know what it was, the scheduling gremlins or life. We had the odds stacked against us, but we made it happen, didn't we?
We did. We're here.
I'm so grateful. I would love to dig right in because I know we have a short time today. I would just like to jump right into this because I think I gave everybody sort of a little taste of how we met and sort of the circumstances. I'm a huge believer that things don't happen by chance, right? I believe that I was supposed to be at this event, and I'm just going to let you know, I don't like going to those networking events, but your group was freaking amazing. But you were like icing on the cake because we got thrown into this, breakout room. We were talking about AI. Then I find out you're like an AI goddess and, doing all this, all this work in the space. And I was just blown away. There are people that show up exactly in the time that they're supposed to. And so many of us miss that. And I'm so grateful that you and I connected there and that we took the next step to actually just schedule a follow-up call and just get better acquainted. And then I knew we were going to be friends like instantly. So thanks for not ditching me yet.
Oh God, you're kidding me. Yeah, it's such a pleasure talking to you. I always look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Give my audience a little bit of your origin story because it is very unique and diverse. I mean, first and foremost, I saw on your LinkedIn you said you have 30 years of working in high pressure environments, and I have to call BS on that because there's no way you started when you were 5. So there's just, I mean, you're a
You know what?
musician. You've done all this great stuff. I mean, catch us up on how you became the
Yeah.
superhero that you are.
Okay, well, first of all, I'll take the compliment, and you're officially my new bestie. But
Awesome.
right, yes. So, and it's funny when I put that up, I'm like, people are gonna go, "What? What are you talking about?" Not because of the age thing, it was more like, how could you have like 30 years in high pressure environments? Well, this is why. Because I grew up in Beirut.
Yep.
I was born and raised in Beirut. And I count that as part of my experience because I
Sure.
was literally forged under pressure. And I think we don't talk about that enough. We don't
Right.
talk about, being a war child and what that could do to your nervous system, what that could do on how you show up later in life, how you see things, how you observe things around you. It does leave an imprint on
Yes.
basically on how your brain develops and how you react under pressure. And they call us the resilient people. Yes, but I mean, it's a bit more than that, I
Sure.
think. So this is the 10 years over, like, I mean, more like 15. I kind of should say 35. But anyway, and then moved to Canada and, 20 years in engineering. Again, I think I chose in a way, I mean, looking back, connecting the dots, I realized that nothing I've done is random. I chose engineering and specifically the mining industry, which is very high stakes, high pressure. The cost of one mistake under pressure can cost millions, and actually, more than that, can cost a life or
Yeah.
lives, right? So, again, moved on to entrepreneurship, and I don't have to tell you, triple a load of pressure and high pressure. You're literally taking the whole thing, the whole load on yourself and wearing all the hats. So yes, when I look back, you know what? I tell myself, okay, why? And
Yeah.
that's how I started really this work and why I'm here. And a little side note, which I don't often talk about, as you already know, I'm an artist musician. I had a career in music, still do actually. And that was another thing that added so much pressure because learning and being able to show up in front of people with all your vulnerability and go on
Sure.
stage, and your voice is your body. So if you're not handling your pressure, you cannot sing. You're
Yeah.
not going to be able to perform. You're not going to sing. Well, you're going to sing. You're going to be off. You're probably going to be in your head, but you're not going to translate the emotion to the crowd. So that another pressure element that I had to put on myself. I chose to do a
Went right
career,
into
to
it.
have a
Yeah.
career in music. Yeah. So there's a lot of, I think, dimensions to pressure and me, I guess, in the story, right? So
Well, it's kind of funny because I don't know if anybody's ever described you this way, but I was telling somebody about your work. Actually, I referred your podcast to a good friend of mine that has the same amount of interest as I do about brain neuroscience, right? How to maximize and
right,
get the most from your brain. Mine is a little more selfish about why I want to do it because my mom suffered from Alzheimer's. It runs in my family. I want to stay sharp and focused, and my brain is my most important tool, as it is for most of us, right? But I was
right.
explaining all these different crossroads of you and who you are. I'm like, well, she's like the Rubik's cube of awesomeness, right? Because there's all
Oh,
each side, you get a whole different perspective of what you do. I mean, from being a musician to being, an author to being a keynote speaker, you've been an engineer. Now you work with these, very important clients with, like you said, very high risk type environments. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot on the line. How is it that you evolved from, hey, working, in the career path that you did as an engineer to realize, hey, there's a bigger world and opportunity for me out there, and I want to continue to advance my professional ambitions by becoming an entrepreneur? How did that actually transpire?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I got to a point in my career where, when it's just comfortable,
Yeah.
and I understood that later in life, later as I did therapy, as I dealt with my PTSD and all the, everything that came from all the choices I've made in my life that brought me here, and no regrets. But it really made sense for me to move on because I was always kind of looking for the next thing. And that's kind of could be a little syndrome of somebody that is always looking for something outside of them,
Hmm.
because standing still is dangerous. That's kind of how I grew up. It was so imprinted in my brain at an early age, having lived through the war, that standing still when there's bombs around you is danger. It's that
Right.
subtle. So for me, I'm not saying all kids that grew up in the war are like that. For myself specifically, that drove me to keep moving and moving and moving. And I only understood this later when I really dug deeper into the whole neuroscience and my own therapy, and understanding, why is my brain wired that way? Why is it never enough? Why do I have to move to the next thing? And so entrepreneurship actually was the next thing for me when I decided, because at the same time, it was just a natural thing to do because that's what Claire does, moves on. However, there was also a need for me to understand how I can bring uh, the music and the engineering and pour it into a new baby.
Yeah.
And that's how my company, Mind, Soul, Purpose Team Building, was born. I was great with teams. I managed a lot of teams, a lot of high stakes sport project. I had that ability to help people communicate better, collaborate, create a psychological safety. I I learned that over 20 years in engineering. And music complemented that, because music taught me that when you don't have these elements, you cannot do music. You have to be in your creative brain. So engineering brought the analytical, music brought the creative, left brain, right brain, right?
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be whole if I have those two developed into something else, because it was just time to move on. So, long answer to your question, the motivator was understanding, where am I going? How can I combine everything I've learned, everything I do that I love, these two passions, into one? And that's how entrepreneurship started, basically. That was the
I love
motivator.
that. And the type of, just so the audience knows the type of music you produce and you have, I mean, I've listened to all of it on Spotify. I love it, but it's very
Thank
unique, and
you.
yeah, it's fantastic. But to give our audience a little bit of a taste of the musician side and what you're hoping people take away from the music, and then I'm going to come back to the sort of the engineering entrepreneur side.
I think the driven thing about the music that I write and produce is the driver are the lyrics, the stories. They're very personal. The album is extremely personal at a very specific stage in my life. And everything that came after that was just really just my growth. So, and it's not very personal, very specific. A lot of people can relate to it because we all wonder, we all stop and think about certain things and that we don't understand, whether it's love, heartbreak, but really more about life and where we're going, where we're heading, and why, questioning the big questions. So, but the style is pop, and I worked a lot with, collaborate a lot with DJs, writing with DJs, pretty much the melody and the music, and interpreting it. So I definitely love dancing, and I love upbeat music. I like high energy music. I guess it's also my upbringing, Mediterranean, Lebanese, the all the percussion and everything. So you can hear a lot of that in the DJ remixes and DJ songs that we wrote together. So
Well, you do a
yeah,
phenomenal job. It's actually very addictive. I mean, the music is really, really that good. And so we'll definitely include a link in the show notes so everybody can go to the Spotify and stream it. Because I mean, you do a phenomenal job, and um, it just makes you feel good. So I mean, obviously you could tell you enjoy doing it. that ticks a very important box for you, but you also are giving back to the world, which is what a good rippler does, in my opinion. So well done for sure.
Ripple on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so
Yeah.
let's switch gears for a sec. So how did you decide to become an engineer as that first step in your professional career?
Yeah, I mean, I was always very good in sciences. I loved math. I say loved. I mean, you know, I wouldn't really want to tackle this on now. Moved on, but at the time, I was really good in school. Actually, I was a big nerd. I'm still a very big nerd, believe it or not. And I loved school. I loved school. I loved it. And math, sciences, physics, chemistry, bring it on.
Yep.
Uh, only thing that really I don't like is more like the health sciences, ironically, now that I've studied neuroscience. But anyway, at the time, so that drove me into engineering. And I gotta say, we do have kind of a line of engineers in the family. And it was kind of an encouraging thing that was, that little seed that was just kind of implanted at the earlier age. Hey, you're good in sciences, you should be an engineer. So I kind of followed the inevitable, really. And the funny part is that I chose metallurgical engineering because I looked at the other engineering fields and none of them were speaking to me, and I'm like, okay, what else is out there? And of course, metallurgy and mining are not were not very popular then anyway. That was I'm talking in the early 90s. And I remember the promise was, you're going to get a summer job. You're definitely going to get a job, because it was a thing. You
Yeah.
study for 4 years and then there's no jobs. And I'm like, I'm not studying 4 years of engineering without a guarantee of a job of something. That's a lot of work. I love what I do. I love sciences, but I need to make money. I need
Yeah.
to, I was very ambitious. And I chose metallurgy because I remember I spoke to the professor. They're like, this is what we do. You have to get out there and practice when it comes to mining and metallurgy. That's how I chose it. And I never looked back. I loved it. Loved it. Very interesting field. By the way, if people listening are interested, or any young leaders listening, very, very interesting field.
Oh, that's awesome. So, a question I'll use for both your music background, but also the engineering background. Then we'll move to what you're doing now and the work that you're getting to do with these major companies. What was one lesson that you learned from the music that informs what you do today as an entrepreneur? And what's one lesson from being in that space with engineering that informs your work and how you go about it today?
Okay, that's two questions. All right. So with music, what music taught me was, I guess, interestingly enough, calm authority. How to show up, how to be vulnerable, fully yourself, authentic, and but still show up and own the stage. So I'm not owning the audience, I'm owning the stage, I'm owning myself. I'm speaking with my own voice, owning my voice. That's what music taught me. And it took years of practice, believe it or not, years and years of coaching to even get there. Because, like I said, the voice is the body. So you cannot fake performing. You can't. People feel it, right?
Right.
It's a feeling that you're inducing in people. What engineering taught me was perseverance, was patience, and definitely engineering taught me how to work with people. Really, literally, taught me the main expertise that I have was, which is, how can team work together? What do you do under pressure? How do you react? How that affects other people around you? How you need to show up? How you work on yourself before you can even own the room in a way, or help people around you. It was a lot about collaboration, communication, execution, being organized, being in the right mind in order to achieve these crazy feats that they wanted us to achieve, that were always due yesterday. So that was a lived experience of high performance and productivity under pressure without losing yourself. That's what engineering taught me for sure.
And I have to guess, based on one of the episodes I listened to on your podcast, that you talk about that maybe comes from, a deep center in terms of growing up in Beirut and what you had to endure and what you witnessed and watched. And I remember you shared a story about your mom and sort of the calmness amongst all the chaos at one point, all that was going on, and you guys had to move, from one location to the other, but in the midst of all the chaos, there was the calm that allowed you to sort of find that. I've got to think that that's got like that the calmness that you now teach and share relative to the work you do is kind of seated in that experience. No?
Yes, to a certain extent, for sure. I have to say that as a child, you don't quite understand what's going on. You're literally looking at facial expressions around you and trying to understand. You're running. You're taking shelter. You know that there's a danger, but then observing the faces around you really kind of define the environment. So if the adults were laughing and making jokes and they're relaxed, well, we kind of relaxed. However, what I've observed as a child in these situations, and I actually pour this in, I believe it's chapter 2 in the book, um, is the little nuances in the facial expressions that tell you something else is going on. It's like the forced smile,
Yeah.
but the eyes that are very anxious, and you remember these, and then you take that in, and that becomes the new normal, and you take that in. So when you later in life you show up in a very tense conversation, you know how to handle it because you've been there when it was much worse,
Yeah.
right? You're like, okay, yes, they're really trying to be very strategic right now, but I can feel the pressure underneath. So you understand it, but you still manage it, and you still manage what you're feeling on the inside. But after a while, that's kind of it's called habituation, and that's one of the things that I explain: habituation versus resilience. You're so exposed to this for a long time that you just kind of tune it out. It's like, okay, yeah, that's pressure, it's normal, you just go with it. But that's not resilience. Resilience is the ability to be able to completely turn this whole situation into calm inside and create enough space around you in order to be motivated enough to move regardless of the pressure. So you take it and then you make it to your advantage and move on. So it's nothing's going to stop me kind of thing, but without just pretending the pressure is not there. I know the pressure is here. I know this is a catastrophe, but I choose to move and choose courage regardless. So as a child, I think it was habituation. As an adult, it became resilience.
Oh, I love that. And that has a large part in informing the work that you do today with companies. Tell us a little bit about that and how you leverage that experience. Because I've got to guess, one of the things that you said in your most recent podcast, which I completely identify with, is your ability to read the room and your ability to pay attention to what's going on. Obviously, I come from a much different background than you had as a child, but I think that's one of my strengths as well. Not talking, but paying attention to the little things. The body language is something that we always tell people to pay attention to, but it is really it's a really hard thing to interpret and understand in the moment because you have to hear what's being said in the room. You have to understand the circumstances as they unfold. But it's the little things, like you said, the sideways glances, the forced smiles, the uneasiness, the pursing of the lips, the church staple in the hands, right? All these things have, if you know what you're doing, know you can read circumstances and know what's going on in the back of people's minds, maybe even better than they know in the moment. How do you leverage that, and how do you take this work, especially around the neuroscience, to inform on how to help executive leadership teams get the most of themselves and the most of their people?
Honestly, when people bring me in, one of the first things I try to do, as much as I can, is to just attend a meeting. and just sit kind of like the fly on the wall,
Yep.
right? And just observe what's happening around me. And again, what you said, I'm not going to refer, you can tell right away how each person, I guess I call it kind of the fracture lines. If you think about it, a team is kind of like a structure,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's holding together. It's holding together. It was designed to hold a certain load, right? However, when you put more load than it's supposed to handle, then there's kind of a fracture
Sure.
lines. So I see myself as the structural engineer that comes in and sits down and kind of is looking at identifying where those fracture lines are, whether they're there already or they are most likely to develop. So preventing them from developing. So observing, oh, I see where some stress points can come and break the team right now.
Yeah.
So, and that comes from observation, sorry. And it also comes from the understanding of the human behavior, the cognitive overload, how people react. And I can tell right away um, in the way people reply, respond, or react, how they are self-sabotaging in a way, or what kind of self-sabotage pattern they have. There's the controller, there's somebody more maybe that just wants to please and just rally everybody. Then, there's so many of them. We all have sabotage patterns, by the way. That's
Sure.
just the brain keeping us alive. But they become kind of sabotage patterns when we're pushing them way too much, and now they're standing in our own way. So identifying these behaviors tells me a lot about where things are going to break if we put more pressure here, or what they're going through right now. And of course, my involvement is also, there's a lot of assessments that I get them to do prior to even me showing up. So it also gives me an idea what I'm dealing with. Because like I said, it's everybody's behavior is different, but definitely was a strength. I look back and I tell myself, maybe the fact that I was exposed to these experiences at an early age developed that ability in me to be able to observe. Like you said, you're able to do that too. Not a lot of people are able to do that. And I think the most important observation you can do is self observation. You need to be able to master self awareness and being able to see your own patterns, how you self sabotage, and how your brain is literally not working for you, it's working against you, and try to change these patterns so they can serve you better. Once you've mastered that, you are able to identify and see it in others. I think you cannot make change unless you work on yourself first. You can always look outside you and say, yeah, my team this and my team that, and then yeah, but what about you?
Yeah.
Have you taken a look at yourself and tried to change your patterns? Why are we looking at the fracture lines in front of us when you're kind of part of the fracture lines as well?
Yep.
So, in an organizational setting, that is definitely uh, a full structure fracture and not one person carrying the load, because everybody's carrying the load.
Sure.
So I come in and put those reinforcement bars, right?
I love that.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. You know where the break points are, so you know how to resolve and fix them.
exactly.
Hey Ripplers, before we jump back in, I want to take a quick moment to share 2 ways you can go even deeper with us. First, if you're enjoying this podcast, you'll love our paid subscription offers on both Substack and Patreon. That is where you'll get exclusive content, behind the scenes insights, and extra resources about connections and relationships that you won't read anywhere else, plus a few little other ditties. It's a great way to support the show and stay connected between episodes. And let's be honest, if you're craving something even more immersive, and who isn't, check out our Connect and Grow Ripple coaching program. Man, this is a full year of coaching, content, and community designed to help you become a more engaged connector and leader in both life and business. I love this program. I think you will too. You'll join a vibrant community of like-minded Ripplers to gain access to master classes led by dynamic experts, including me, attend live workshops, group coaching sessions, and get the accountability and actionable strategies you need to build more meaningful relationships to create an even bigger ripple effect out there in the world, which who doesn't want that? You can find the links in the show notes to sign up today. Hope to see you over there. Ripple on. That goes all the way back to your engineering component, right? The metallurgy, right? It could be the strongest of steel, but it depends on the pressure points, and you can get fractures. And those fractures over time get bigger, and they become more weak. And at the end of the day, something is going to break. And I think that just looking at something and saying, we've got an organization that's built on a certain structure with a certain type of leadership, we are built for success, not built for failure. But if you're not taking the time to recognize where you have those challenges and being able to invest both time and honest conversation in understanding where those things are, you are going to run into problems, and it's going to happen. It probably happens with almost every organization where leaders are somewhat blind or, selling themselves a tale that is just simply not true.
Yeah, and the thing about this, the interesting part is that it's a failure sometimes, or the lines, you don't see it, the fracture lines, you just don't see it. Once it breaks, it's done,
Yeah, it's
right?
broken. Yep.
That's why people, I'm like, yeah, but that's not dramatic. This is not, there's more priorities right now. The thing is about that is that is there already a hidden cost that people are not identifying. And I run a pressure diagnostic with my clients, or people just interested to know a little bit more about where they're failing, and where we identify how one decision that was done under pressure that has gone wrong in a way, or affected communication, or there was execution drag, or that broke somewhere along the line, what may be misalignment, where everybody said yes, yes, we're going to do this, yes, we got this, we know what to do, then everybody breaks and goes to do their thing, and everybody's pulling in different directions and nobody's moving forward. Okay, that's misalignment, right? So one decision, one high pressure moment, put a cost on it, and how many meetings we had to do and do over and over again, how many people left or thought of leaving, how that affected your reputation, the delivery, etc., and so on. And it could cost you easily somewhere between, 150K all the way to $2-3 million. One decision in one quarter. Compound that over several decisions done under pressure in one quarter, and the cost is huge, and nobody puts that line on your financial statement.
No.
Cost of pressure. Really? No, nobody talks about it. And this is why I'm bringing this forward, because we need to talk about this. Is actually costing organizations more than they think. And it's the basis of everything we're trying to do nowadays: innovate, AI adoption, with all the disruption going on, workforce adjustment. We are under high pressure. So, how many hidden costs are there right now in the execution process? How much drag is there because we're not in the right frame of mind? So,
Is that ultimately what has led you to focus on the writing this book? Tell us a little bit about that, and sort of what you hope your reader gets from it.
Calm Under Fire, the book is coming up in September. Basically, it's the subtitle, The Leadership Skill No One Taught You. I think
Yep.
it speaks for
I love
itself.
that.
And But a little bit on it is that, really, we all run under pressure. We all drive under pressure. Actually, some of us think and believe, and I was one of those, that I work better and perform better under pressure. And the question that the book actually brings forward is, has the pressure been running you? Have you even stopped and thought about that question? You think it's driving you, but has it been running you? It's different, because the way you show up, the way maybe you just got used to pressure, and now it's just kind of the new normal. That is not how we are designed as human beings. We are not designed to tell our brain a bear is chasing you 24/7, right? And what the book talks about is awareness of what is your pressure pattern? Where do you go when you're under pressure? Because right now you have no idea you have a pressure pattern. I want you to see and look and identify what your pressure pattern is. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying identify it
Sure.
and stop and look at it and say, is this really serving me right now as a leader? Is this helping me? Is this sustainable? It is? Great. Good for you. I mean, you have a choice. I'm not here to change anybody's mind or brainwash anybody, but I just want people to stop and even recognize, is this really serving them long term? How is that affecting their relationship at home? How is that affecting their parenting? How is that affecting their relationship with their colleagues? How is it affecting their decision making? How they show up under pressure? Do they show up calm? Not calm because you have to be calm under pressure. No, calm authority is that you're feeling the pressure, but you have enough space around you to be able to pause, gather your thoughts, and still make the right focused decision as somebody that has calm authority, as opposed to react. You are directing. That self mastery is calm under fire. So recognizing in the book, think about it. What have been running you all these years? How has pressure been running you? And here's what you could do about it. And it weaves in a lot of my story as well. And 50, more than actually 50, than 50 CEOs, C-suite executives, and experts that I've interviewed for the book over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, that have shared their experience with pressure. So this is not theory that I'm coming up with just because I lived through the war. No, no, this is lived experience with the most powerful, influential leaders out there running under constant pressure across the globe over several industries. So it's not focused on a specific niche, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the basically that it brings that self awareness, and it also gives that here's what it looks like when you do get to that level where you're not running. Pressure is not running you. You are running the show.
Yeah.
You are playing at the level that you were built for, the real level that you are built for as a high performer uh, um, leader, high performing leader, without it costing you XYZ, right?
Yeah. The intended audience, is it just the executive level type leader, or could anybody benefit from this book? Because I think we all, no matter what our role or responsibility is, whether it's financial pressure, whether it's career pressure, everybody has a level of pressure in their life, right? And I think there's some people that don't recognize pressure. I've heard two quotes that I really love. Pressure is a privilege, and pressure either creates diamonds or coal dust. So
Right.
and you
That's
think
really
about,
good.
yeah,
That's
it's
really good.
a couple of years ago I got an opportunity to meet Chris Everett, or not meet her but engage with her. Chris Everett, the tennis legend, and she always said how Billie Jean King always reminded her that pressure was a privilege, and that you get to choose how you handle it. And it can either
Yes.
run you or you can run it. And that's what you're saying. So my guess is that anybody can learn from this book, no matter where they're at within their life, because we all deal with these circumstances that bring a certain amount of pressure to, whether it be a team dynamic or a project, or how to resolve a conflict with a neighbor or something. We all have these things that are kind of poking at us, and how we respond and react really begins and ends with how we are sort of viewing that circumstance and understanding how we're going to respond to it, not just react or have these knee jerk reactions to it.
Yeah. The book definitely speaks to everybody out there. I mean, I think as human beings, pressure is inevitable. It's life.
Yeah.
This is not portraying pressure as the bad guy or the bad gal, like, no, that's life, people. We're under pressure all the time. It's just life. These are the challenges of life, and you said it at different levels. It doesn't have to be just at work. Um, it does. I have to say that the focus are leaders, founders, leaders, entrepreneurs that are probably haven't stopped and they just go, 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 go. Now, does this relate to a parent? That is go, go, go. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are still talking about the same thing, pressure, and how you're showing up, and how that's affecting people around you, how that's affecting you and affecting people around you, and what you can do about it, and giving you that hopes like, hey, The brain is neuroplastic. You can still rewire it. You don't have to be fall victim to this reaction that you've been rehearsing ever since you were 3 years old. You've been wiring these patterns. This is my survival pattern. You have the choice to be able to switch from your survival brain, get back into your prefrontal cortex, your brain CEO right in the front, where you can make sane decisions. You can direct as opposed to react. You can be aligned. You can be focused. You can be calm and just not be triggered by every single thing happening around you. So, do only leaders benefit from the book? No, definitely not. The stories that are woven in there and the experiences and the people that the case studies, and I have to say, are related to, professional case studies in real organizations out there, real leaders and their struggles, right? I think I can write another book more on a personal level. Uh, Maybe women under pressure, parents under pressure, and I think it goes on and on. But the takeaway is the same: that we do have a choice, and what is it you want to choose? Because at the end of the day, only we can choose to rewire those patterns and show up differently in our lives, and nobody else can do it for us because it's personal work that
Yeah.
affects everything, but it starts with you. And it's another thing that we have to do, and people think, yeah, it's another thing that I have to do. I have to walk, and I have to meditate, and I have to this, and I have to that. And I have one thing to say about this is that the framework that I bring forward, pressure proof leadership, or just the book itself, it really speaks about very small, little, teeny, easy resets that you could do, as opposed to the big deal, right? It's another thing you're putting on my agenda. No, 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 no. I'm talking about rehearsing certain patterns, rewiring, breaking these patterns by just doing a couple of seconds, maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds before a meeting, stopping, pausing, breathing, focusing on the present moment, focusing on maybe the color of your screen, focusing on the auditory, bringing back your awareness to the moment. So when you show up to the meeting, you are not all over the place. You are aligned and focused and in the right brain. If you're feeling the tension, you know how to relax. So, and it doesn't take 30 minutes of meditation. Although I love meditating, it doesn't take 30 minutes. It's very practical ways. And I share a couple of links in the book as well on little giveaways that and actually would love to share this with your audience as well and listeners. I have pressure reset scripts that, if you don't mind, we can put in the
That'd be great.
description. They are
Yeah.
free and they're very practical. It's a little small notebook that gives you an idea what I'm talking about here. Because I mean, we don't have a lot of time to go in details, so would love to offer that to your listeners as well.
Well, we appreciate that. We would love to share that. And I know everybody would really like to learn more about this work for sure. And you expect the book to be out in September, correct?
Yes, first week of September. I still
Oh,
have to choose the date.
exciting. I'm super excited for you. I know that this
Thank you.
work is super important. It's necessary. And I think the thing that I want to convey to my audience and the reason that I think you need to listen to what Claire is saying is it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference in yourself, in how you show up, in the approach that you take, whether it be in those stressful situations, how you communicate or interact with people, being dropped into a new environment where you're the new person, like I was for your networking group. Not my most favorite, circumstance,
You
but it
were
turns
great.
out
You
to
were
be
great.
really fun. The
Mm,
reality is these are things that will only come to serve you in a big, big way. And I can tell that this is going to be a really successful book for you because I know the heart that went into it, the authentic author that's behind it, and the amount of research from an engineer perspective that went into these studies. So have no doubt this is a going to be a foundational book that people will benefit from greatly. So when it comes out in September, we'll definitely have you back and do something significant to celebrate its release.
I'd love to. I'd love to be back. And if I may, I'd love to share a link on the book, clairehayek.com. That's literally my full name.com/book. If you want to want to just go take a look. And I would love to have you, if you're listening to this and this is speaking to you, I would love to have you part of the Advanced Readers Club. I know you have signed up,
Yep, I
Steve.
just signed up. Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to have you as part of that group, and basically you get access to the pre-launch and maybe some feedback on some of the chapters, and you're going to be the first to know about it. So yeah, feel free to join if
It's like the
that's
insider's track to everything that you're putting together. I
exactly,
think
yeah.
it's great.
The VIP, the VIP.
I love it. I love it. I don't think I've ever been a VIP of anything, so I'm feeling pretty good already.
Oh, you're too funny. You're
So,
so
you know,
funny.
Claire, I could talk to you all day. I know you have an upcoming meeting. I do as well, but I want to wrap up, if you don't mind, with just a couple of rapid fire ripple connection questions. These are just fun questions that we ask that they're hopefully fun to answer, but give our audience just a little bit of insight. You can make these answers as brief as you want, but essentially just it's just a little fun way to wrap up our time together, if you're okay with it.
Of course.
What did 7-year-old Claire dream about being when she grew up?
A singer.
Uh, Mission accomplished.
Yes, my inspiration was my late aunt. She was a very well-known, accomplished singer in the Middle Eastern music, in actually North America and South America, out of all places. And I looked up to her, and I always loved music, and I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a singer-songwriter.
That's awesome.
Engineering was not on that list when I was 7. Yeah,
What does present day Claire want to be when she grows up?
that's a good one. I think I wouldn't say what I want to be. I think what I really want is to continue to grow. I don't think there's somewhere you get and you stop. I do want to continue to grow. I do want to continue working on myself. I do want to, you know, become the bestest version of myself possible, because that's the goal of every single human out there. And we have that reach. We just have to do the work. And that is really what the goal is for me personally.
I love that. What has failure taught you?
My God, failure taught me, brought me so many gifts. Every failure for me was a gift, was like, wow, that failed. And now I know this. And now I learned this. And oh, if I hadn't failed in that, then I wouldn't have met that person. And every failure was really just, I was able to find the gift. And I think that's what kept me going. It's one of the things that I always wrap up my podcast at the end and say, be bold, stay human, and find every gift from every challenge you have. And I think that's failure for me is simply a gift. I don't know
Oh,
if that makes sense, but
I
yeah.
love that. What if there was a billboard that you could put a bit of advice on that everybody saw on the way to school or to work, and then on their way home? What would you want the world to hear from you? What advice would you give?
Be present. Be present.
I
Because
love that.
that's the only thing that exists is the present moment. Don't take
Ah,
anything for granted. Do not take anything for granted. Be present, honestly. Just
oh,
admire everything around you because it's all magic. We are so lucky to
I
have this
love
world.
that. Yeah,
We are surrounded by magic, but if we're not present, we're not able to see it. And unfortunately, we're not.
yeah,
We're not. And I'm not either, not all the time. I
sure.
try to be, you know,
I think you're
present.
probably more clued in than most. So you're an inspiration on that end for sure.
Well, it's a lot of work, and
Sure.
I consistently have to remind myself. You should see my desk right now. I have a gazillion little post-it notes reminding me to wake up. It's like, be present, focus. Why are you here? Oh, who are you talking to? Are you listening?
I love that.
What are your thoughts? Observe your thoughts. Are they serving you? Are they helping you? Are they shaming you? Are they judging you? Are they lifting and empowering you? Being present, when you're present, you're able to see these things.
Oh,
So
that's
that's the best
fantastic.
gift you can make, give yourself, is be present.
So do me a favor, send me a picture of you with those post-it notes behind you. I would love
Oh
to see that
God.
sometime. You can do that later, but
Okay.
yeah, I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
I will, but do not, there's some passwords in there too. So do not put that anywhere. I will trust you with it, but yeah.
Okay, we won't share that for the general public. All right, deal.
No, don't share it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, last two questions. When you hear the term the ripple effect, what does that mean to you? What does that conjure up for you?
Oh, that is huge, and I've always loved that your podcast name. For me, that's the essence of who we are. If every single word that you say, every single action that you bring forward can affect so many people in so many ways that you have no idea where it gets, the reach, right?
Yep.
I think that's the most powerful thing that we have as human beings. This is why you have to be self-aware and present, because what you say will have that either positive ripple effect or a really negative one. So make it positive. Be
Yep.
present, be alive, be aware, and put that out there. Put that positivity out there. I think so much power in that word. And that's the magic of human beings and our power, really.
Yeah.
Self-power.
Well said. Well said. Last question. What positive ripple could I be looking to create for you?
Oh God. Just having me here and being a guest on your podcast was such an honor, and you're such a great host.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you are, honestly, you're just such an easy conversation, and I'm just really grateful. You've already caused the ripple, I think. I mean,
Uh,
it's been 3 weeks in the making for us to meet, and I know that you've already caused that ripple. It was pre-podcast, during the podcast, and it will continue on after this, episode goes live. So absolutely, yeah.
well,
I don't know
thank
if that
you.
makes sense, but
You're very
yeah.
kind for saying that. I appreciate it. You are an easy person to have a conversation with, and I'm so grateful. And I can't wait until we can do it again. So we'll definitely do something in and around the launch of the book. And I've got some other ideas to promote it as well. But I just want to say how grateful I am that you entered my life, that we've become friends in a short period of time. And like I said, people show up in your life at exactly the time they're supposed to. And 9 times out of 10, people are too busy or too distracted to actually spend the time to actually investigate that. I'm glad we both didn't do that and that we
Yeah.
got together and connected and found that we had a lot in common. So I'm really, really grateful to know you.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. And
Of
to all
course.
listeners out there, just follow this podcast. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've listened to a whole bunch, and it just, I'm going to put this out there. I texted Steve on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, I loved what you said about this. Oh, I loved what you said about that. Oh. And I'm like, okay, I really sound like a groupie. I'm going to stop right here. Let's just get together and talk about this.
Hey, you could do it
And it was
anytime. It made
genuinely
me
the
feel great.
podcast.
So,
Well, the podcast was the initiator of all
yep,
of this, because it could have stopped at that networking
it
event,
could
but the
have.
podcast had that ripple effect, and which brought me here.
Yep.
So what you're doing, you're walking the talk, and
Thank you.
that is full authenticity. So congratulations for that,
Thank you
100%.
so much. Oh, I appreciate that very much. Well, thank you again for being here. Guys, we'll be back with another episode of the Ripple Effect podcast very soon. But until then, Claire, ripple on. Hey, we've reached the end of another Ripple Effect podcast, and I want to personally thank you for joining us today. It's because of you that we do this work, and I want to encourage you to be sure to follow our guest, show them some love and support any way that you can. If you like this episode, share it with a friend, a colleague, or heck, just put it out to your entire network. It's through these efforts that you actually create a ripple for this show. It helps us grow and expand. And if you'd be so kind, find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast and leave us a review. That helps bring the show into the view of more audience. So we greatly, greatly appreciate that. And finally, just a quick shout out to those of you that have signed up for our Patreon and Substack. As a paid subscriber, we can't begin to thank you enough for your support. It's through this investment that you show that the work that we do matters, and it allows us to continue to do it and support it. So thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't signed up at Patreon or Substack, what the heck, man? What's going on? Throw your boy a ripple, would you? And come on over. That's where you'll find exclusive content, some behind the scenes special stuff, and you'll also get an opportunity to reach out to our guests on the podcast. I will take your questions personally and take them to them and get you answers. How about that? That alone, that exclusive behind the scenes thing, that is worth every penny, maybe more than a couple pennies. How about that? So anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting us. As always, ripple on.